What's up, guys? It's Damon here. A couple weeks ago you saw, probably, hopefully, if not I'll try and put a link. I went to an auction and I bought some junk. All of it was in the in-op pile, basically. 2 are running. We're gonna find out about the 3rd one today. The 4th one is still, she's to be determined. Okay, this is the bigger purchase that I got. It runs technically. That should not have been placed against the battery terminal. So the other day we were trying to load out. We did get it to start, but unfortunately it ran away a little bit. So the unit injectors here would not stop pumping because the governor, or the shutdown here, wouldn't do anything. Actually the shutdown's up under there. So it wouldn't shut the engine down. So I'm gonna try and pull a cover here real quick, see if I can't get in there and make the shutdown do shutdown things so that I can hopefully just drive it on the trailer. If not, I'm going to have to winch it on. So I did buy a winch specifically to do that, but I'm kind of hopeful I can drive it because it'll be so much easier. I looked it up. This machine weighs about 5,500 pounds, 5,700 pounds. It's a Dyna cc122 with a 2-cylinder Deutz air-cooled diesel. Pretty neat little unit. I didn't see a whole lot for leaks. I think there maybe just a slight weep. I don't know if the drum works. I don't know if the drive works. Because when I got it started, all I could think about was getting it shut back down. Doesn't appear to be any blown hoses anywhere. So yeah, I'm gonna grab some tools, figure out what I need. I don't really have a good place to set up the camera, but maybe I'll try and see if I can do that and see if we can't get it going. Okay, so I think, if I'm not being misled, if you can see it over here, is an inspection bolt slash it's also used for lining up the engine when you go to retime the injectors. But if that's what it is, I should be able to pull that and then know whether or not the rack is moving, which I don't believe it is. Wish I had an inspection camera. I gotta flash that. and get the wrench and the mini persuader, the asker, and didn't even check first, but yeah, that just comes right off. So thankfully I don't have to take that big nut off. I thought it was weird. You know what? Don't get my hopes up like that. Come on, there you go. I'm hoping there's like a really easy way to get that out of there once I get all this stuff apart. But I guess I wouldn't count on it. It'd be really, really sweet if I could just like bend it back into place. Really makes me wonder though, what happened? Why did it do that? Is that what can happen from long-term lack of use and somebody just reefed on the throttle? Feels like it could be a little more snug. Stink. Ugh. Crap. Well, so now the question is, I can take it off, I can drag it around with a bulldozer, but in order to get in there, which I was afeared of, I guess I should have known better, you gotta pull the main pulley, then you gotta pull the timing belt and the sump belt, and you gotta pull all this stuff off the front here, throttles, whatever, to get this cover off so you can get in there and pull that out. And as much as I want to, I'm not doing that on the trailer on the side of the driveway. I was hoping that I could pull that little solenoid out, and she'd just, loosen right up. Apparently, it's not going to happen like that. Somebody thought they could, just run her and not check it. And I suppose, to kind of be fair, if they don't know, they don't know. I didn't know until I watched some videos on it and looked into it a little bit. Yeah, unfortunately, she's not going to drive herself off of here. Might be able to kind of assist the steering, but that's the best I'm going to be able to do. Unfortunately. So, I guess at this point, I'm going to clean up my tools. I mean, it's not like a ton of work, really. I mean, it is, but you got to pull this panel, pull this cooler. There's some nuts and bolts and stuff in there. There's another cover right here. There's a pump in the back. I'm not sure what it does. It's driven by that pulley. Fingers. They're over there. That pulley is driven by, or drives a belt that goes under there somewhere. And this, I guess, is the timing gear. I'm not sure why it has a timing gear. I guess. Intake and exhaust valves, right? So, yeah, that's not something I'm doing on the side of right on the side of the road on the trailer still. So, I'll have to pick you guys back up when I have more to say. Okay, so after some tearing apart and then realizing how deep you actually have to get, seeing as how I don't have the garage set up because I'm working in a field right now, you have to pull the, I guess it's a power steering pump of some sort off the backside, or hydraulic pump. It's got like 3 hydraulic pumps on this roller. Anyways, you have to pull that off so you can get at one of the access ports so you can put the timing dowel in. Well, in order to put the timing dowel in, it was a pain in the butt. So what I decided to do is I took, and I'm not saying this is a good fix. I still bought the parts. I bought the pins. But I bought these little crow's foot or 90-degree pry bars. And I stuck it down in there. And pried up gently where it was bent and got it so that the emergency shutdown, or the kill switch, now does what it's supposed to do. So assuming that's right, I now have to verify that the throttle still works. When you move the throttle lever here with these bolts disconnected, it does not adjust this. So what I'm really hoping, and I haven't found out yet, and I'll probably find out when it runs away until I shut it off, is that I'm hoping to find out that the engine has to be running for the governor to work, for the throttle control to just govern and not actually control. If that's not the case, unfortunately, I will have to continue to tear apart and to get into the governor housing here, which I really don't want to do, because that literally means, like I said, you've got to pull apart everything under there. And this thing is actually absolutely jam-packed right into this little tiny housing. The engine runs, and didn't hear any knocking aside from what a Deutz normally would. But somebody had their dirty little mitts in here before I got it. There was a cover plate that was supposed to be here, is missing. There was some other stuff here, missing. And then, as mentioned before, you got some Mickey Mouse Clubhouse kind of wire in here, and you got another one over here, and then some other stuff going on the dash. I don't know what they did, and I'm going to have to figure it out. But what I did find, kind of a smoking gun, and I mean that almost quite literally. The shutdown solenoid is seized up. Now, these are known to fail. So what happened with this one is the rod will not extend. I don't know for sure if I can get it to work just by pulling it out, but I tried to pull that out with a pair of pliers and it wouldn't go. So I'm pretty sure this terminal is ground and this is labeled 1 and 2. So I put this to ground and powered either side. I don't know if my battery's got 12 volts in it or not, but maybe that's part of it. But either way, I would still have thought that this would have, you know, activated. Although it is spring return, so maybe not. Either way, like I said, I know they're prone to fail. But it smells like burnt electrical. So what I did, because I'm putting it back together, I'm not waiting around for it, is I took the two control levers off of here, and that way I can have a block off plate, so to speak, for the hole. Now, this is the shutoff lever right here. And as you can see, it's springing back and it's free. I can actuate it, you know, manually inside, and there's no hang-ups. So I'm gonna just put it together and hope that it doesn't catch up again. If it does, well, I don't know. Either I'll dig into it or it'll be somebody else's problem. But for now, this is what I'm gonna try and make sure I can get it running. Make sure everything else works on it, I suppose, before I spend way too much time, you know, investigating that. After I found out how deep that thing was, like, whew. So I'm gonna button her back up, and then yeah, I'll try and catch you guys up. I was gonna try and have a video going the whole time of messing with it, but it's kind of slow just figuring out what goes where and who does what. So when I have another update, I'll get back to you. Okay, so that took a little bit longer than I was hoping for, but I got her back together. I got it kind of shoved off into a dirt pile right now, so excuse the tripping. Hopeful that it'll do stuff. I'm gonna leave the injectors loose right now because I want to watch for fuel and flow and make sure that when I shut the valve or the control rod off, that it actually shuts everything off. And then again, I'll check for control or speeds and stuff like that when more flow coming out of the injector. So what I'm looking for when I pull the throttle up. And hopefully that tells me stuff. Make sure that everything's working the way it's supposed to. There's an O-ring inside of here that on both of them is a little bit knackered, and I'd like to have replaced it, but I don't have one, so it's going to be what it's going to be. So dummy me forgot that in putting the belt tensioner on, hey, get over there, in putting the belt tensioner on, that I was blocking off the hole where the shutdown solenoid goes. So I had to pull that back off and then put that in and then put that back together and then put the cover on, bolt this up. Basically it was just a taking apart or putting back together everything I'd already taken apart. But yeah, I put the control wires back on there, but basically made the shutdown solenoid useless because it gave me this nice little manual shutdown. It'll be a tricky thing, I guess. It's something that not everybody would want, but if it makes it run, then I don't really care. So I'm going to hope the battery has juice in it. I mean, it has a little, but so yeah, no angry noises there. This one I think is the fuel pump. fuel to the injectors. I think we have fuel in the return line now. And then not quite enough pixies to do the job, so I'm gonna go hook up the tractor. Hopefully the battery in the tractor will be enough to turn this over without having to run the tractor. So we'll see. One rotation out of her. Hard. Okay, well, as you can probably tell, it's a different day. It got way too dark, the battery cables are junk, so I need to get new jumper cables. It's on the list. As you can hear though, we have something running. A little backpack generator. So it's gonna sit there, hopefully, hopefully I can turn it off real quick here actually. It does the, yeah, we're outside. So, suitcase is running battery charger. And it's pushing 16.5 amps. Wow. I'm gonna keep that running a few minutes. It's been running for, I don't know, probably a couple hours now. Or an hour and a half anyways. Are still disconnected. Okay, well, the emergency shutdown works. Guess that means it's pretty much only one thing to do, right? Time to try it. Well, hopefully I don't need the charger running to get it to turn. I mean, if it fires like it did at the auction, my bad for not getting that on video, then this thing will fire right out. As long as I didn't ruin anything else. I don't think I did. Okay, so fuse check, wires, nothing's touching that I can tell. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff that ain't right, but I mean, what are we gonna do, right? Like, I think we found, oh, you know what, I'm gonna keep the adjustable out. Worst case scenario, just do that, right? Okay. Let's try this again. Contact. So not sure exactly what happened, but I seem to have lost travel. Pulled out of there and basically got to where it's sitting and I've got no travel. And I'm not sure what that's about exactly. I think I touched a button. This one's parking brake, I think. But I'm not entirely sure. And there's these two. This one's fuel pump. That one I'm good with. But I gotta find out what the other ones are supposed to do, and then whether or not they're doing what they're supposed to do. But holy crap. She runs, she shuts off. That's a big thing for me. And it moved. I can't believe it. It actually moved. Now, while it was sitting there just now, it kind of almost felt as though the drums were vibrating. Not to the high frequency that I would expect. And maybe it was just the engine, because these engines are very, well, they're kind of rough running, really. They feel pretty rough. But I'm going to look into some hydraulics. Make sure it's got plenty in it, and then I'll get back at you. I'd call that a success. I bought it not knowing if it was going to run, and it ran a little too well. And then now it, well, now it moves. I mean, oh, I can't flip this thing when it's running. It moves, it rolls, it does not compact. Well, I mean, the 2-ton part of it, you know, compacts a little bit. So you can see the, you know, tracks I made with it. Back and forth a few times. I went and parked it over there in the corner, out of the way. Because the next thing I gotta do right now is I gotta grab that beast, see if I can't scoop up some of that pile, push it back a little bit. I didn't plan ahead far enough, and that pile, which is quite big now, is too far this way and will impede driveway. So I gotta get that out the way. So I gotta get the air tire blower upper, fill the tire on the little John Deere over in the corner. I'll probably take the case, move that out the way, and then bring the JCB over and see about moving some of that pile. I don't know how well it'll dig because I packed it pretty good, I think, with that dozer. I ran up on it over and over and over again. So I'm kind of going to test out the loader and see how it actually does, because I've not even really tried to scoop anything with the front end of that thing. Boy, I'm pumped though. I was not really expecting, I mean, I was hoping for it, but it fired up just as good as I could expect it to. It just sits there and knocks like a Deutz, because that's, well, what it is. And that 2-cylinder makes it almost worse, because it's a little more spotty, I guess, but I'm pretty happy. I'm excited. You know, even if I, for a while, don't get the compaction part of it to work, just running over stuff, smoothing it out, it'll help. I mean, it's 2 tons, so you got to figure a ton and a quarter sitting on an area like that, 6-8 inches at the bottom of the drum. So I mean, that's a lot of compaction to get in a little spot. So I would imagine, even if I can't get the shaker to work for a while, it'll still help me get the driveway tamed. Once I move that pile back and cut some trees, that's a whole nother story. Once I get that stuff done and I can have my permit, then I'll get some gravel. Gravel is going to come down basically where my truck ruts are, where that tree stump is there, right to the right, in that pile of stuff. The tree had to come down because it was encroaching on where the driveway was going to be. Could have left a limb or two on the right side of it, but they were all leaning over where the driveway is. And to be honest, the driveway, that pink ribbon there is 40 feet from my pin over there. So I want to pull it back away from that a little bit, and I want to keep it off of that line and kind of dress it up. And I'm thinking right in front of where the bucket is on the JCB there is where my culvert's going to be. So not the big ones, the little one. I was going to do a lot longer run up behind where the backhoe is. I was going to put a pool up there and carry it across, and it'd be like 60 feet. And I still might, but it seems unnecessary. The other problem is that's a slight hill up in there behind that pink ribbon. And if there's no basin to catch anything over there, it's all going to run across my driveway. I think that fir, correct me if I'm wrong, that tree anyways is gonna stay. I think it'll just stay and it'll survive. But the rest of them, they're gonna come out, and I'll start my basin swale there and then come in over there. Little updates. I don't know how much of that I'll record, but I want to. So now, time to go to work. Thanks for watching.